person with trauma has a great potential for spiritual evolution. Anybody has a great potential for spiritual evolution, but people with trauma may also discover very deep gifts within themselves, spiritual gifts. But again, sometimes and very often actually, these beings just stop at that level and just wrap themselves up with gifts. Okay, I have this gift of insight or intuition or something, and that's it. So they don't go for it. Because again, they choose that to be their anchor or their sort of a spiritual stuff where onto which you hold and think, okay, this is now me. This is my higher me or my higher being. But it's not. It's again, everything that is related to the world is not your higher being. Because everything that is related to the world is just an extension of your being. And so, yeah, maybe you broke through the trauma on a certain level and regained your confidence, regained your kind of, rebuilt yourself, and you have like a fresh understanding of life. Yet, you know, still you need to continue the journey. Understanding that whatever gifts are there, they are there. Let them be. But the true gift of life is this surrender and allowance to just grow over any gifts, to use them as tools, but not to associate with that. And it's the same with everything on spiritual journey. For example, whatever experiences we have or whatever, that's okay. That allows us to see life deeper. But by no means we should create a sense of I am through that experience. It's just there and it gives us a certain understanding, and that's it. So, if people hurt you, it's so easy to curse them, to wish them bad. The same thing, to go over that feeling of vengeance, to go over that feeling of negativity, and to just say, I respect them, I respect their choices, I allow them to choose or allow them to be what they are. I bless them, no matter what they are. If they are angry, let them be angry. If they're jealous, let them be jealous. If they are, I don't know, vengeful or evil, let them be evil. Because I'm not in control of other people's choices or other people's feelings. And so when the other problem here with this traumatic responses is that beyond the trust, there is actually there is this like desire to hurt other people, you know, or desire to sometimes sort of assume something and hold on to that. So yeah, and desire to control. So the biggest problem with not trusting is the opposite, desire to control. So if they think, okay, I will be vengeful, I will be this, they think they control the situation. So two traumatic responses, lack of trust and desire to control the situation. We believe we can control the flow of life, but life proves us on and on that we cannot. We are not in control of life. So then we face pain when we realize that by trying to control, we impose more pain because the flow is going anyways. And it just, that desire to stop it just creates a higher tide within ourselves. And so most of the people who are traumatized know only control, because they think that if I choose this, they think they choose. But many times they don't choose from the standpoint of contentment and higher being. They choose from the pain, they choose from the hurt, they choose from distrust. And this is where they fail. Because if they chose out of love, they would see there are no obstacles. That's why people say many times, love sees no obstacle. Obstacle is that boundary of self. It's a traumatic response. So if something happens in our life and we choose to erect this wall instantly, this is a traumatic response. And so this traumatic response already separates us from the natural flow and from the flow of love. Natural flow equals the flow of love, or love it's in general, because love is natural flow. And I'm saying on a larger scale, because at that point we just become this little me's where we want to be just, I'm me, I like this, my path should be this, I have to control this, I have to do this, and we just create more and more and more and more obstacles where at the end, or we erect so many walls that we actually camouflage ourselves and we don't see the light anymore. And we start just perpetuating this darkness from within, because all these walls become then our cocoon, where we just sort of bury ourselves in the darkness. But the moment you allow love, all the obstacles dissipate. There are no such things. There are no such things as incompatibilities, a lack of understanding, if there is allowance of love and free communication, and there is allowance of and is a trust in life, you know, because everything can be communicated, everything dissolves in love and contentment. When you're content, there is no such a thing as I don't like or I like, you're just content. And so when you make decisions in life from the standpoint of contentment, you are never wrong. Because at that point, there is higher wisdom. When you respond to the world with harshness, with swords, with walls, with whatever, and even if someone provoked you or you provoked them, there's always a way to just stop there and just communicate, reverse and communicate, and see that there's no need for creating of more obstacles. Sometimes it's just an expression. Maybe people are going through a black patch in their life or negative patch in their life. So sometimes something is accumulated they need to express. So yes, acceptance of the self and the other is important. This is again trust. So you express yourself, you allow things to be as they are, but you don't hide away or instantly close down if other people express, even if they express negatively. You open communication because you care, because you want to know why this is like this. Maybe they are also frustrated about something. That's where you have to emphasize open communication and still just hold on to the trust. Like anchor yourself in trust, anchor yourself in contentment, anchor yourself in surrender rather than control. Then you will dissolve trauma. And when whoever says whatever, or whatever circumstances, you will say, okay, this is temporary. This is a chance for me to work on myself. Did it trigger anything? Okay, let me talk to my people or to my friends or to my partners who maybe created this, or I think they created this, but they maybe triggered something and provoked. Let me, because I still love them, I still care of them. So let me hold on to this contentment. Let me hold on to the open communication. Let me allow open communication. And even if you don't want, but if they want to communicate openly, allow this to happen. Don't play these games of chasing or cat and mouse and all these games of string, because they are not leading anywhere. Today you are hurt, tomorrow they are hurt, and this is like ping-ponging pain. And this keeps on going because there's no open communication, because there's no this kind of a time where people sit and talk everything out, express everything, realize through communication. And many times when people talk, it's a therapeutic because they express themselves, they open up, and they regain trust not only in themselves, but in other people. So it's very important that people who are hurt keep on communicating, especially with someone they trust. And if the other person all of a sudden closes down, of course it undermines trust, because if you keep on telling someone something about you and then all of a sudden some conflict happens and they close down and you want to communicate and they don't, it creates a response. But again, the only thing we can do, we cannot control other people. We can shower them with warmth. We can be in control of our own selves. So all we can do is remain in contentment, remain in the flow of trust, because sooner or later they will realize that they've closed down, that they've sabotaged themselves, that they've hurt themselves by doing what they did. So it's a learning process. And then they come back to the flow and they realize, okay, maybe it's time for me now to speak openly too. So by your own example, you can also allow other people to heal if they are at the moment still having very strong traumatic response and they close down, they don't want to communicate. Our ego can say all kinds of things. We can say, I don't want to be spiritual, I don't want to be material, I don't want to be this, I don't want to be that. All of these are still ego. Because ego wants to be something, wants to hold on to something because it feels hurt. Instead of facing the pain, instead of surrendering to the flow of here and now, ego again tries to find some escapist plan. So the moment is when you feel like, okay, it's the time to shift right now. So if it's the time to shift, then you just do what? You surrender and trust. You open communication. You open communication with yourself. That am I trying to act in my life out of insecurity, out of distrust, out of my old patterns, or am I really now opening up to something new? And you see, in theory, it's all very easy, but it's actually such an inner transformation that is just, and it's easy, it's just this one moment of surrender, everything shifts. The whole paradigm shifts. But to reach that point of this click, you need to really be in the pressure cooker, you know, in that pressure where you finally give in, or you just keep on growing those walls and tarnishing yourself and darkening your perception because of the fear, because of whatever. And so in the moment when you're unsure, just surrender. And how the surrender is felt, your solar plexus relaxes, your lower abdominal area relaxes, your pelvis completely relaxes. So this is the sign that you surrendered on the physical level too. So if your consciousness is surrendering, it has to transmit into the physical body. Then you may say that, yes, now I surrendered. I finally realized that, and there's no fear that this, whatever happened, whatever was an upheaval, is actually my chance to transmute my old stale pains and create for myself a beautiful path of happiness, which I'm actually looking for, but not allowing myself to have. And usually what prevents us from success is trauma. And it blinds us sometimes. It blinds us to such a degree that we choose to just run away, hide, create walls, or escape into whatever, alcohol, drugs, work, money making, or whatever, entertainment. And yet we don't realize that there's only one answer. Love, natural flow. Love within will bring love outside, or will connect people in a new way, in a different way usually, because at first people connect, let's say they have distrustful connection to their parents, or somewhat even trusty connections, but not really, there's something there like one-sided or not really balanced, or too much emotional connections. So this love from within allows to have healthy boundaries, contentment, and kind of not allowing other people's drama or other people's emotions to affect. And yet love is still there. Love is still connecting. And in this kind of proper situation, then balanced situation, both people progress, the parents progress, you progress, or people or your partners progress and you progress together, yet no one impedes, because there's open communication through love. Because there is this ability to just express yourself in a constructive, loving way, because you're committed to being happy within yourself. To commit to being happy means to be open to communicate. To communicate your happiness or unhappiness at that moment, and to allow yourself to listen to the other side, to allow yourself to understand and feel compassion, and then restore loving relationship, even if there was a misunderstanding, whether it's your parents, your friends, your co-workers, or whoever. Because don't think that people act because they're nasty. Because this is or people act in a certain vengeful, maybe evil way because they just want so. It's their also response. It's their traumatic response. And so if you understand this, you can actually heal any relationship, be it at work or personal relationships.